Only kidding. Only kidding. I hope you can. Well, the joke might backfire on me. Yesterday,
we started the show with no sound, didn't we?
We were going for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Sad thing about that was it was only noticed after about 2 or 3 minutes. No sound. Hopefully all is well this morning.
Yeah.
And looking forward to your company for the next half hour. We are the Munsons, and I should say Louisa and Carl Munson. That's Louisa. This is Carl. And this is The Moment on New Reality TV, where today we're going to get quite personal, aren't we, about our new reality as it's unfolding. Is that right?
Absolutely. Before we go any further, though, I want to just...
The thumbs up from
that's good.
Nee. Hopefully you can hear us as well as
Hi,
as
Nee.
see us, perhaps. Hi, Nee. Lovely to see you.
I mean, we're going to be talking about some of the personal changes we've been going through over this last short while.
Yes.
From an astrological perspective, which is kind of good timing, because tonight, morning Debs, tonight I'm going to be doing Ask Louisa, my pop-up astrology show at 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
That's London time.
Is this just a trailer for your astrology show then tonight?
No, I also want to do a trailer for tomorrow's show, because we got Amy Doherty from The Eyes Have It.
Yes.
She's got a show on New Reality TV too.
Love that play on words.
Well, the play on words is, Amy it looks at eyes, like she practices iridology, but she does it from a sacred ancestral perspective. So I'm going to be, hopefully you're going to be taking a good photo of my eyes later.
Can't wait.
And then
I love your eyes.
And then she's going to be doing a very quick analysis, I think, of my eyes and talking about the ancestral code. She's written books about
thinking, where's that picture? I'm on tomorrow. Sorry if we're cutting it a bit fine with that, but we'll do it straight after the show.
We will do it straight after the show.
Okay.
She's going to be telling us all about her show, and also how we can, how our ancestral code, how our history, our ancestors all show up in our irises. I'm fascinated by that.
I've always been fascinated by iridology. Why are you getting to do it, not me?
Well, you could do it. I did ask you a few weeks.
Given the chance.
You were a few weeks ago. She sent us.
Was I not listening?
No, yes, you weren't listening.
Well, when we do when the ears have it, helping your husband to listen better special. I don't know who's going to do that. All right.
I think we need to look in your ears.
Yeah, I'll get some help. Okay. All right. So today, it just so happens, is it not, coming back to astrology, and of course your live show is this evening. What time is that? Portugal time?
It's 8 p.m.
8 o'clock, isn't it? Yeah, you're absolutely right. And proper good emoji there with the eyes having
fascinating.
It on the screen.
It's going to be a really fascinating show.
Talking to her tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, coming back to astrology, we happen to be. I'm having a second Saturn return whilst you're having a Chiron return. Is
That's
that right?
Yeah.
Within the same sort of few days of each other, or time scale.
Yeah, same time scale.
How's that going?
Well, I think it's amazing that we're both going through two of the biggest.
I didn't ask you that.
Well, we're still together.
Yeah, very good. Well done.
We're still growing.
Still able to be on the same screen together.
We're able to laugh about it, aren't we?
We are.
And I think actually one of the good things about us going through something quite intense astrologically at the same time is all of the kind of muddy water comes up at the same time, which can make it a bit more.
When will it stop?
It can't
be much more muddy water, can there?
No, there's really not. I don't think so. But it's forcing us both to have a look at our life at the same time, rather than one of us doing it and then 3 years later.
However, I mean, good. That's good, isn't it? That we're going through an intense time together, but that the triggering potential is heightened as well.
Absolutely. So you have to.
Yeah, if either of us, or if both of us are knocked off our perch, it's hard to help the other back into equilibrium, isn't it?
It's
I
kind
can't
of
even
like
say equilibrium when I'm in this.
It's like a mastery level lesson, I would say. Us both going through it at the same time.
Well, thank goodness it's the second Saturn return, because I'll tell you what, if this was my first Saturn return, as I recall, I'd have been out of here, and I don't mean that as a threat. I was just an idiot at that time in my life. And my ways of dealing with difficulty when I was 29 were not smart. I thought they were.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I thought the same when I was 29.
Yeah,
as well.
I thought, I'm doing how I've got this. I know it looks a complete mess, but I am all good. Thank you
Mhm.
very much, whilst causing chaos,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Well,
Deb, it's not funny. Saturn.
see, I know that Deb's already been through her second
Is that
Saturn
right?
return
Okay.
and also her Chiron return. So,
Right.
can I explain?
Yeah,
like,
I think
'cause
that's
if you're
useful.
if you're looking
You
at
must, because I was at it's like a men's group in my town.
yeah,
And I decided to say, when the fella said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm okay. I'm going through my second Saturn return, which is a bit of an SH1T show at the moment." It was like tumbleweed. So for the purposes of, maybe I shouldn't, but there is, context is important, isn't it? So yeah, could you explain, so next time I'm with them, or if they watch this, they can find out exactly what I meant?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Saturn returns happen, like, to explain it, any kind of planetary return is when a particular planet gets back to the exact place it was in at the time, place, and date of your birth.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, every year around the time of our birthday, funnily enough, not necessarily on our birthday, we have our solar return. That's when the sun comes back to the exact degree that it was at
Well,
the time.
Hallmark aren't ready for that news, are they?
No, they're not. No. So, I mean,
That
my
gets
solar
complicated.
return this year was the day before my birthday. So, like, we have a
Right.
different astrological birthday. You have your lunar return every time the moon gets back to where it was at the time, place, and date of birth. So, Saturn moves. He doesn't do like a monthly cycle. Yeah, I call him a he. He's a masculine planet.
Right.
And the sun does a yearly cycle, a yearly orbit through the zodiacal belt, or otherwise known as
zodiacal belt.
Yes.
Where
well,
can I get one of those?
We could we could call it the ecliptic, as it's also known. It goes from 0 Aries right the way through the constellations back to 29 Pisces.
Or for your everyday bloke, stars
in your horoscopes.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, yeah, Saturn return. It's got a 29.5-year cycle, and so it varies from person to person, but most people, by the time they've got past 30, they've gone through their first Saturn return. So it might be at 29, it might be at 30, but it's around that time. And Saturn, like, if you look at Greek mythology, and Saturn, I mean, and if you're Roman or Greek, you'll either call him Saturn or Kronos, but he's the god of limitations,
control,
structures, control. He's like, if you look at if you were to look at any big international business, all the Saturn people are the CEOs.
Compliance,
definitely. Right. Accountancy, they're the ones that are
the
crossing
Saturnine influences. Not the Jupiters in marketing.
No, the Jupiters are the ones, the expansive ones in marketing, who are filling people
Mars
full of BS.
And Jupiter on the sales force and marketing.
Yes. And I mean, Saturn gets a bad rep because he's known for discernment, so cutbacks.
However, that might lead to survival, mightn't it?
Exactly. Yes. So Saturn is teaching us, every time we get a Saturn cycle, he's showing us where maybe we've expanded a bit too far and we need to come back in. So in particular, the first Saturn return often, like, because I mean, what were you doing in your 20s? I mean, you don't have to be specific, but like, what's the energy of your 20s?
Being an idiot.
Okay, being an idiot. Yeah. Okay. Well, like, for most people, and this is what I was doing in my 20s, I was proving everyone wrong.
Well, yeah, and that's fair enough. No, I mean, the first part of that, though, is finding yourself, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, we are developing. We're going into the adult stages of defining, and I suppose the refining comes with the Saturn influence, doesn't it? Yeah.
So like, I left school at 18, buggered off to France, thought I stuck my fingers up to university and just went a bit wild.
Yeah, that taught them, didn't it?
Yeah. And so, like, in my 20s, really what I was doing was finding myself, but B, showing the world, or showing myself. I was living on my own terms. Yeah. Overinflating myself, really showing people what I was capable of.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, they either take on too much responsibility, or they have so much fun that they don't take on any responsibility. And when we get to about 29, if you've got too much responsibility, it weighs you down and you've basically built yourself a prison.
What have I done?
Yeah.
Might be one of the mantras of the first
Definitely. You think, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah, what have I done?
And then over the next year or two, you end up severing a lot of these responsibilities and freeing yourself up.
Well, that's what happened. I was a father. I was in a long-term relationship. I was probably in my second or third home that I'd bought in this
Yeah.
time when that was possible, as a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
And I had what felt like a midlife crisis early on. It has that flavor, doesn't it?
It certainly has that
Yeah,
flavor.
yeah.
So, for instance, I, like you, I was in a long-term relationship, had a house, had been working for corporates in training and stuff. Got massively ill because I was doing too much and couldn't keep up. And then around 29, 30, realized the relationship was wrong. The life I built for myself was wrong. None of it was going anywhere, and I was ill. And so I had a physical collapse, like I was off.
So
I was ill.
It
I was
can be
bedbound.
mental and physical.
Yeah, I was bedbound for 13 months, which is quite a long time.
That is quite a response, isn't it? Now,
yeah, and it's because I couldn't face myself. And so that's
the body had to step in.
Definitely. And so a lot of people overdo it and then they free themselves up. So they come out of relationships. They suddenly realize the job they've been working at is wrong for them. They go into restudy. And they escape, they sell houses, like their life breaks down. Now for other people,
not to say you should have to do those
no,
things,
definitely not.
But I think in the world we live in, that's often the result, isn't it?
Because it's high pressured.
May I say hello to Sarah,
sure.
who is, welcome to the club.
Hi, Sarah.
We are all still finding ourselves here. That's what this show is about in many ways. And Hugh, it's also about the moment. So may I just sound it's the opposite of sounding an alarm, really. Can I ring the little tinkly bell of meditation and just for a moment remind everyone just to feel the weight of their body on the chair, or if you're standing pruning your tariga, as it were, can you just feel your feet on the ground where you are, the breeze on your face? But please just come into your body as we have our conversation here. Let's just make sure we're not just a load of ideas and spinning around, that we are in our bodies, feeling that, clothes on the skin.
Do you know what,
in the senses?
When we close this session, how about I do a quick clearing of Saturn and Chiron energies,
or as a recording to share?
No, just like right at the end of the show.
Okay, go ahead, you do it.
So remind me at 25 past.
Oh, I see, during the session. Fantastic. All right, so okay, well we will come into the moment in conclusion as well. So
now, if you go to Kay's message, so Kay is saying, my dad and I are about to go through our Saturn returns. Right. Hi, Kay. Thanks for, I think this is the first time you've put a comment on this show. I think it is, but welcome.
You're special, Kay, to us.
You are, and there's a reason for that. So, lots of people are ditching their responsibility around 29, but for people who haven't had much responsibility, lots of them suddenly get more responsibility.
Hence 2 generations of Saturn returns.
So one person becomes a parent, and then if you're the child, you're going through your first Saturn return whilst one of your parents is going through their second Saturn return. So that's really common. I've got a lot of clients, and this is what I've learned over the years. I've got a load of clients going through their second Saturn return, and they've got one child going through their first. So that is a really common pattern.
How is it for you, Kay? With that, let us know, because we're very open. I did mention this to Louisa here, that I want to talk about it. I'm very in a way that I wouldn't have been able to articulate or talk about it when I was 29. I think that's when I had my first astrological reading as well.
Really?
Yeah, by Pam Hampton. She was an astrologer in Sheffield, and she and her husband were like sort of new agey people. They were kind of senior. And really special, precious couple, actually, with interest in holistic health. And she did me a reading, and I still remember parts of it to this day. And and that's when I became more interested I'd been interested in psychology and spirituality in a sense, and Buddhism. But it was at 29 where not only did I become interested in the world of other worlds, but I published a magazine. I got into it massively. I published a new age personal development magazine for my city. And
that's a lot of responsibility.
I got massively involved in the bigger picture, if you like, and that was the big thing, the physical manifestation of my Saturn return, I think. And I joined a commune of vegan men, and we were trying to live in. Why are you laughing at that? Because
I was just thinking, I just wouldn't have fancied you back then at all.
Right. Okay.
I've gone, oh my God. Sorry, no offense if you're a vegan.
Well, and the thing is,
it's like the idea of all these.
Here's the thing, and it's what you think you know about me in relation to that time. Now, it was my woke days. If
Yeah,
you like.
I
It
like
was very
your fun days.
It was very ideological. I was aware of all these new ideas, and I wanted to share them and live them, and community living. And it was the first community that I lived in, and it was a fascinating time, but it wasn't
Really
in any way
serious.
grounded. It was about ideas, and it was about trying to live ideas that were up here and sort of bring them down by living them. Whereas it might be in the second Saturn return, the other way round, where I live a family. Who'd have thought when I was 29 that I would be living a family life, which I kind of arguably should have been at the time, but couldn't do it for some reason.
Yeah.
And now I am, and it's in this practical, pragmatic, everyday, mundane in the best sort of way scenario that I'm able to truly understand the spiritual ideas that I began to contemplate and be aware of when I was 29. So isn't that a lovely full circle?
Yeah, it is a beautiful full circle. And that's the thing I want to share. I can see Kat said, I'm scared. And I'm glad that you asked, how is that going
and
for
going
you?
and lol as well.
Yeah,
So I get the sense of that comment. Yeah.
Yeah, and also my Saturn is in my 12th. So I will mention something. First of all, before I go there, I just want to say you're right, it does go around in a circle. So
I feel a song coming on.
like the better you do with your first Saturn return, you know, and the more open you are to recognizing where you've imprisoned yourself with your own stories about what you need and like your own limitations, the easier it is for you it's second time round in your Saturn return. So, you know, for me, what I learned during my Saturn return was that anywhere where I was forcing myself to do it a certain way, because it has to be like this, and if it's not like this, blah, 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 you know, I was putting pressure on myself, and so many people put pressure on themselves. Now, in particular with your Saturn return, Kay, given that it's in your 12th house, that's a part of our chart that has a lot to do with our inner mind and our inner programs. So the thing to what I would, you know, if I was in your shoes right now, I would be looking at my life in terms of self-sabotage. Where are you holding on to things so much that you're sabotaging yourself?
What, in my way or the highway kind of thoughts?
And also where are you allowing your fears to imprison you? So for instance, look at where maybe some of your thought patterns are taking you in terms of living your life. You might find that you've got so many little rules that you use to cope with life that you feel a little bit boxed in. One of the good things about this is it could allow you to really let go and to find freedom in your mind. It could be a time when a particular teacher, like in particular, like Carl's experience of like finding like a faith or philosophy that really stirred him.
I so did, yeah.
Yeah.
My next door neighbor became my guru mentor and introduced me to a whole new world. It was quite extraordinary.
So it's your inner mind, that's the one that's at work. And if you feel like your mental health is taking a bit of a slide, the first thing to recognize is it might actually be helping you, because it might be unraveling you a little bit so you can see a new truth. But it's also still at the same time really important that you do everything you can to keep yourself as positive as possible. So what I would say as an antidote is to watch your health. Like make sure that you're feeding yourself properly and getting out into fresh air and grounding, like Carl said, so that you're giving yourself all the best ways to create relaxation in your body, because then your mental health is likely to be better. But there's lots of other things, and you know, you might find it useful to drop me a note on the form for my show tonight, because I could actually have a look at your chart. I might pick you out of the hat. You might be one of my readings for tonight.
And if you're as thirsty as I was when I was 29, I would be saying, yes, give me that email address. I need to have.
I've actually put it in the show notes. So if you have a look at the show notes, you should see a little link for the Ask Louisa show, and you can fill in the details, and then I might pick you out of a hat. And
an offering here from Deb as well for you. Let go of the shoulds, musts, and have to. That's quite a nice shorthand, isn't it, for where ideology or firm belief mentality is overcoming physiology or reality, for that matter.
That's a really, really good piece of advice, because years ago when I was doing my NLP, neuro-linguistic, and also my hypnosis training, we did this exercise where there was a group of us and we all like stood in a line, and we were told to close our eyes and then to say either I will, I won't, I should, I shouldn't, I ought to, I mustn't, I must, and using all of these kind of directive sort of guilt-inducing words. And like when we said it,
that's a good way of putting it.
Did we feel that we were moving forwards? If so, we took a step forwards. And did we feel like we were moving backwards? And this was all videoed.
Yeah.
And what we realized is like, I must, I shouldn't, I can't. They were really, really difficult. Or I ought to.
People stepping backwards.
We were all stepping backwards. They're not motivating at all.
That must have been a great video of a room full of people walking backwards into each other. But that's what the world's like. It's like
it's
like
really
a little sort of vignette of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, and I will, I shall. It's
They're
so
more
much
like aren't they? They're like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Like we put a magic cape on our shoulders, and all of a sudden we feel like
cape
really
on for dinner. Yeah.
So that felt really, really positive. And that was useful. So the language you use is really important. That's a really great.
Thank you, Deb. And
thank
also,
you so much for that,
look
Deb.
at this personal insight here. Great suggestion, Louisa.
Yeah.
Talking about not listening to the body and being overly mental, perhaps. I wound up with cancer. Please pay attention to your mental and physical health with what's going on there. And maybe don't take yourself too seriously. That's the other part of it, isn't it?
Well, that's definitely a Saturn thing, because seriousness is what it's about.
Yes, yeah. All of this is just sort of offering and serving suggestion, isn't it? For the sovereign individual to make their own sense of. Letting things go has been pretty hard for me. I totally understand that, Kate. It's not easy. I feel like I have to control every aspect of my life. That's Saturnine, isn't it? I've actually been working on letting go of control. We'll definitely fill out the form.
Hopefully I'll see you tonight. And Viv's comment
here,
as well.
Look at this. I'm cooking breakfast, but I'm here. Thanks, Viv. That's a nice leisurely breakfast, isn't it? Good on you. What are you having? When I was 29, my life fell apart, but I had 2 children. I had to hold it together. Well, lucky children, right?
Yes.
That their mum, that you were there, Viv, to do that for them. That's absolutely wonderful. And yeah, I'm sure so formative and educational, that whole process. I don't want to diminish or minimize it or sound patronizing, but that must have taken an incredible effort.
Yeah, a lot of resources. I mean, so a time of mental resources and discipline.
It's not only yourself to figure out, but the lives of 2 kids as well. So good on you, and shout out to all the mums. I'm cancer
and dads.
And yeah, okay, well, that's a mum moment.
Yeah, totally a moment. That's a mum win, isn't it?
I'm cancer free now, but learned some hard lessons. Wow, Deb.
Yeah.
When's Deb on this show?
Don't know
when she's ready,
but I'm going to be emailing her later.
Yeah, okay. When you're ready, that would be great to talk to you. You've got so much to share and say with us. We'd love to see you on the screen one day, Deb.
I want to talk about something about the second Saturn return.
Well, don't forget, you're going to do a clearing as well, aren't you? We've only got about 7 minutes to go. 6 minutes.
And we'll talk about Chiron another day. But
sorry, I've dominated.
No, it's fine.
Right, okay.
Like with the second Saturn return, there's another aspect to Saturn, and like Saturn is known as a sort of aged planet. You know, Saturn is also like, he's about stepping into responsibility. So we're learning the harsh lessons of too much responsibility, or taking on too much responsibility before we've got the internal structures and the mental structures and the discernment to be able to stand in our own power. By the time the second Saturn return comes around, if you've been adulting yourself and doing quite well at it, and if you're persistent at it, then around the time of your second Saturn return, you start to take on responsibility in a really responsible way.
And that is why I have spare washing up liquid under the sink and ready to go, which is something I could never have said.
And that is why,
before.
And that is why you were in our garage
at
11 o'clock at night last night.
That is why my garage is beautifully...
It's immaculate.
Do you know what? You haven't seen anything yet. I'm going to arrange every piece of timber in there in size order. So they've got it the right way around now, in a way, haven't I? Or it's better than it was.
A lot of people come into their authority around the time of their second Saturn return.
You'd expect that, wouldn't you?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, you're going to be 60.
Yeah, all right. The elders in the making.
Yeah.
It's life doing it to you to give you the tools, isn't it? As well as the punishment is what it might feel like. But you're being supported by life as well in a strange way, aren't you?
Yeah. And this is like the time.
Thanks, Deb.
This is the time for you to acknowledge the journey you've been on and to be able to be an elder. So you're stepping into eldership. You're coming into a time where I guess it's the time of the grandfather, not just the father, but the grandfather.
Yes,
So
yes.
there's definitely something more generational about it.
And so there should be.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and I was thinking the other day, I always was brought up to think of life as a line. You know, you're born and you die, and it's a line in somewhere in space. But actually, if you think of it in circles and these cycles and circles, it is beautiful that the dial has turned. You stayed where you are anyway, and the dial has turned to grandfatherliness. And if you want it, it's there for you, isn't it? And life has prepared you for this moment. If you want it, it's a beautiful thing.
Okay, now I'm going to
we'll do Chiron. We'll have to do Chiron another time.
Yeah,
won't
totally.
We? And yes, thank you very much for all these contributions. Absolutely wonderful. Over to Mrs.
Okay,
Edna.
so this is going to be brief, and what I absolutely recommend you do is, if you're comfortable, just get yourself arranged in your chair, like wiggle your bum a bit, roll your shoulders back. When you're ready, just take in a nice, long, slow, deep breath. And just release. Now is the time for us to recognize our inner strength. And if you can imagine roots, rootedness, a natural sense of stability, allow that to take shape in any way that feels right for you right now. Gentle, stable. Just breathe into a stillness. Just easy does it. Because this is a time for you to recognize your inner strength. And it's not about needing to do lots of things, needing to be lots of things. All that's needed is that you are completely yourself. So as you continue to slowly breathe and relax, just allow a sense of inner strength, simple strength, practical strength, to just be breathed into every cell, every little space within your mind-body system, and allow it to settle in any way that works best for you and your imagination. Because you can find your own sense of strength, your own safety. You can be grounded, rooted. You can find your own foundations. They are within you. All you need to do is breathe into it. And just let that spread and feel any shifts. Just notice any shifts that come up. Any resistance. Notice any resistant thoughts that come up at the idea of being simple and grounded. Because your monkey mind will show you where you might be resistant. And when you're ready, thank yourself, take in a deep breath.
Hey, thanks.
And then completely open your eyes. Be completely with us right now, completely back in the room. And just like notice what you were saying to yourself.
I tell you what, my monkey mind gave way to a granddad gorilla. And I was just, seriously, I was holding on to my grandchild.
That's amazing. And I think everyone will have a really, really different kind of experience. Yeah. But whatever came up, if there was a resistance about being normal and about being grounded.
We better leave it there, Mrs. Yeah. We got to go.
All right. Catch you another time.
Ciao. Thank you, all of you. Bye.